Hi, I want to tell you about an animal. It's a weird combination of things. It has fur. It's not a teddy bear, it has fur. The mommy gives its baby milk. So you're thinking, okay, cat, dog, kangaroo, giraffe, something with hair that nurses its babies. But it's a little unusual because it doesn't give live birth like people and dogs and eggs, cats and kangaroos. It lays eggs, has hair, gives milk to its babies, but the babies come out in an egg that has to hatch, just like a bird. None of that. It has webbed feet, skin between fingers, like a duck. Good for swimming. It also has, like a duck, a bill. But it's not a duck. Remember, it has hair, not feathers. And weirdest of all, if I can say that, one of its toes has a claw that can squirt out poison, venom. You think I made this up, huh? Old man Putney's going off his rocker. Well, that may be true, but this animal does exist. He lives on the western half of Australia in the water, because he lives in the water. He breathes air, but he lives in the water. It's called the duck-billed platypus. So you see he's got fur. He's got a webbed foot. And he's got a duck-type bill, although it's soft, not hard like a duck. Duck-billed platypus. If you doubt me, Google it. So that's the duck-billed platypus. Now, why on earth would I be telling you Parshat Noach about a duck-billed platypus? Because a pair of them went into the Teva? Well, yeah. But I want to tell you about Noach. See, in his day, Adam and Chava and all the ones who came out from them all had webbed feet and webbed hands. Everybody. They didn't think it was unusual because everybody looked like that. Noach didn't. He was born without webbing between his fingers. And all the kids made fun of him. They'd say like, "Hey Noah, can you lend me a hand?" Ha 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 ha! He doesn't really have hands. He has little sticks coming out. He'd go crying to his mommy, "They made fun of me again today." But the people who had the webbed hands found them quite useful because they were able to dig in the soil and make a nice, well, it's hard to show you here, a nice long furrow. You know, they make little hills and rows. You've seen farms with little rows here and here and here. And with their webbed hands, it was easy to do, like little shovels. Noach was useless. He would try to make a furrow, and it just ended up being mush, and his father was like, "Go milk the cows, you can't make a furrow." He used to have little stickers, up on the wall in his classroom, who made the most furrows today. Some of his friends had 50, some had 70. He had none. He felt so left out. Now, we hear all the time about miraculous things. Some man is paralyzed for years, but he works at it because he's going to walk his daughter down the aisle to the chuppah, and he does. And it's in the papers, it's on television. Or the bride. The bride was in an accident. She was paralyzed, but she worked and worked and worked, and she walked to the chuppah with her chatan. These are great stories. But for every one of those, There's 1,000 people who spend their whole lives paralyzed. How do they feel when they see that? It's like, what am I? Chopped liver? Very sad. But the lesson here from Noach is that you can use a disability. Some people have disabilities like they're nervous, they're scared, they're angry. You can change those things. If you work on yourself, you can change those things. If you're missing a limb, chas v'shalom, or you don't have webbed fingers, you can't change that. You have to live with it. Noach found a way to make it useful. The Torah tells us that he is the one who invented tools for tilling the soil. Because he couldn't do it well with his hands, so he made shovels and hoes and rakes and things, so that, and it's much better. I mean, if you're making holes in dirt with your hands, you're on your knees all day. If you can stand up and pull a hoe and make a row, it's much better, much easier. So that's what Noach did. In order to overcome his disability, he couldn't change his hands, but he could change the situation. And he did. Now, there's somebody else who had webbed hands. It flew away. Hold on a second. Don't go away. You know who else had webbed hands? You. When a baby is in its mommy, in the first 10 weeks, as the little fetus is growing up to be like a person, for the first 10 weeks, the fingers are webbed. So obviously Hashem made a change in the DNA. Now you might say, well, if Noach was the only guy without webbing, how come there aren't millions of people who do have webbed hands? People are still born occasionally. It's a defect. Doctors can treat it easily. Why? Because everybody else got killed in the Mabul. It was only he and his sons and his daughters-in-law and his wife who survived the Mabul. So from then on, almost everybody is born with no webbing. So the lesson to be learned here is we all have things we can change. There are people who have things they can't change. But that doesn't mean that they can't improve the situation. The side of the teva, Hashem said, put the opening on the side of the ark, not on the top. Put it on the side. So Chazal teach us that every bad situation has a petuach on the side to get in. Even if somebody comes to you with an argument, there's no God, chas v'shalom. Whatever argument he presents to you, there's always an opening for you to go in. And so, difficulties, we like to avoid difficulties. I wish I didn't have any difficulties. No. Hashem sent us down here to encounter difficulties and to overcome them and to help others overcome them. So, don't worry if you have a difficulty in your life. If it's something that you can change, you should. If it's something that you can't change, find a way around it. So, Shabbat Shalom.